Have you ever felt like no amount of sleep makes a difference, or like the smallest tasks feel impossibly heavy? Maybe you're snapping at people for no reason or just feel numb. If any of that sounds familiar, you might be experiencing burnout. But let me tell you, you are not alone. Today, we're breaking down 5 key symptoms of burnout because awareness is the first step to healing. And we're not stopping there. I'm also giving you 5 practical steps to start reclaiming your energy, your joy, and your life. Let's dive in. This is the Burnout Fairy podcast, where burnout meets boundaries, self care is sacred, and rest is our rebellion. Welcome back. So, let's talk about recognizing the 5 symptoms of burnout. It's not just about being tired. Burnout is a full body, soul level depletion. Here are 5 major signs to look out for. Number one, chronic exhaustion. This isn't the kind of I just need a nap tired. It is bone deep fatigue that doesn't go away no matter how much you rest. I remember a time in my life where I thought I just needed maybe a vacation, a weekend off, a massage, some kind of getaway, something to help make me feel better. And anytime I took even a whole week off to just rest, I would come back to work not feeling refreshed, feeling just as tired, dreading my day to day. Coming back to the office was not a fun time. No matter what I did, no matter how much sleep I got, how much caffeine I consumed, what kind of diets I did or workouts, everything just led me to feeling more and more depleted. I constantly felt like I needed to do more, but I didn't have the time or the energy to do it. I was just so tired all of the time. Number 2, and this one really hurts my heart. Number 2 is cynicism. It's when something you once loved, and that could be your job, your work, your relationships, your hobbies, your passions, it all starts to feel pointless. That's a red flag. If you've gone from excited to eye rolling at the thought of your daily routine or activities that used to light you up, burnout might be in the driver's seat. Cynicism can also be extended to your relationships. And I mentioned this a minute ago, but it's how you approach everything in your life. Everything is with this air of negativity. Everything is with this, I need to get away from it all. This is that sensation of, I just want to run away and throw everything I own in the garbage, set it on fire, and just run away to Iceland and join the fairy college that's over there. This is why it hurts my heart because it's so hard to find joy in anything. It's so hard to find joy in relationships, and it can really be a corrupting influence, particularly on your relationships. Cynicism can show up as having a short fuse with people you love, snapping at your children for something simple and harmless, really. I know for me, it was hugely damaging in all of my relationships with loved ones, friends, coworkers. I remember, I remember my being in burnout and having a coworker. I was so bubbly and sunny when I came into this job, and then I hit burnout. And this coworker approached me and she said, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, well, one, it's none of your business, which is not how I would have responded months prior to this exchange. And I was like, yeah, everything is fine. I just work is a lot. Work is stressful. And she's like, your personality has changed a lot. And I wish I would have listened to her. And I wish I would have taken that for the flag and really the cry for help that it was. Because I went on for 10 to 15 years being bitter, being mean, being reactionary, being unhelpful and unsupportive to coworkers, to relationships, to friends. I felt like I had to control and domineer everything because I was just so tired and so burnt out, and I didn't have the capacity to hold anyone else in anything. Number 3, anxiety and depression. Burnout can show up as anxiety, like a feeling of being on edge all the time, feeling overwhelmed, stuck in a loop of overthinking. It can also show up as depression. So, apathy, hopelessness, emotional numbness. If you've been asking yourself, what's wrong with me? This might be the answer. I know I was suffering from such deep anxiety and depression. I ended up getting diagnoses for OCD because I would get caught in these loops. I went to therapy, I medicated, I self-medicated with herbal teas and caffeine. I did all of these things trying to combat symptoms, but wasn't really dealing with the underlying issues. Number 4, chronic health issues. The body keeps score. Headaches and gut issues, muscle pain, autoimmune flares. Your nervous system is waving a red flag. Burnout isn't just in your mind, it's in your body too. When I was deep in my burnout, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, which is sort of a general diagnosis for body pain that can't otherwise be explained or sourced. That full body pain, that fibromyalgia was definitely a signal from my body that it was overwhelmed. That it was overwhelmed. It was waving a red flag at me, and I was still not paying attention. I was given tons of pain medication and muscle relaxers, which I took none of because I didn't want to be doped up and confined to bed and unproductive. That created more anxiety because then I couldn't really feel my body. I couldn't connect with my body the way I was used to. And it would just create more anxiety and more depression. Number 5, compassion fatigue. I kind of went over this a little bit talking about cynicism, but compassion fatigue is when you've given so much of yourself that you have nothing left and you just stop feeling. This is if you're a caregiver, like a parent, a healer, a helper, this is for you. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and burnout will drain you. I know that was a lot, and maybe you're feeling a little bit concerned. How do I get over all of this? How do I get through this? Please don't be frightened. It is totally possible to heal from burnout. It's totally possible to reverse any damage that has been done. The first thing I want you to know is there is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are not flawed. You are suffering and you don't feel safe. So let us work together and go over some healing steps to recover from burnout. Now that we've named it, what do we do about it? Number 1 is awareness, honesty, and self compassion. The first step is simply acknowledging where you are without judgment. You are not weak. You are a human being having a human experience. Grab a journal and ask yourself, how am I really feeling? No filters, no sugarcoating, just truth. Like, just close your eyes and take a deep breath and notice what feels tight and contracted in your body. It can be like maybe pins and needles in your left pinky toe, or this nagging pain in your right elbow. Anything. Maybe when you close your eyes, you get a picture of something, or you see colors, or maybe you have this overwhelming feeling. Just write it out. Don't judge your words. No one else is going to read this journal entry. This is just for you. Just having awareness. And maybe you won't be able to access everything right away, and that's okay. Just practice the writing prompt. How am I really feeling? And the more you practice this, so this is the other thing about burnout is we get burned out because we ignore our system's red flags, and we build up a lack of trust in ourselves for knowing what we need or what we want. So, this is something you'll need to practice. How am I really feeling right now? Don't be afraid to just write whatever is coming up. All of it is valid. Everything that you're feeling is valid. And the more that you practice this awareness, this self honesty, the easier it'll become over time to really trust what your body is feeling, to really lean into respecting the boundaries that the body is putting forward, and then have some compassion. Tell yourself, I love you. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I love you. I'm here now. I'm sorry that I left, but I'm here now and I love you and I've got you. I know maybe it sounds a little ridiculous, but trust me, it really does work. Number two, making play a priority. So, play isn't frivolous, it's fuel. When was the last time you did something just because it felt good? For me, it's putting on some 90s alt music and just belting at the top of my lungs, or putting on some ethereal female vocalists and just flowing it out through my body, and taking up space. Sometimes it's doing some simple chanting. I'm a huge fan of chanting and using my voice to create vibrations in my body, like a kitty cat purrs. Find your thing. It could be doodling. A friend of mine was doing a paint by numbers project where she would paint a number every day. It could be just dancing it out in your office. It could be doing cartwheels in the grass or running through sprinklers. Make it simple, make it a priority. Do it every day. One of the best pieces of advice I ever received from a coach was to create a menu of things that feel good. And they can be a whole range of really simple things that you can do with just yourself and your body, like no purchase necessary kind of activities. So when you're feeling stuck and you don't know what would feel good, you can reference this menu and choose something that feels accessible in the moment. Sometimes, again, as I mentioned, I suffer from chronic pain flare ups. Sometimes all I can do it to start the day is lay in bed and do a little chanting. That always feels so good. And then I do some stretching. It kind of like helps me build up to something to move into my day. Find something playful. I also play with Legos. You should 100% find a toy that you really enjoy, or you know what did 5-year-old you like doing? There is no age restriction on play. None. That was a lie that we were sold to get us into factories. Stop it. Find something fun to do. Number 3, moving the body. Burnout isn't just mental, as I've said, it's also physical. It's in your body. Shake it off. Literally shake it off. Go for a walk, stretch like a cat or dog or any animal. All the animals stretch, really. Do a dance, roll around on the floor. If you haven't just laid down on the floor for the sake of laying down on the floor in a while, you should 100% do that. If you're physically able to get on the floor and get back up, highly recommend. There is something so liberating about just stretching out on the floor or in the grass on the ground and just take a deep breath. Mm, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that here shortly. Your body needs movement to process stress. If you think about the stress response in the body is designed to accelerate your respiratory function in order to get away from the metaphorical tiger in my imagination that can never be harmed. It's to get away from the tiger that is chasing you down. The stress has a purpose. It's important. It's signaling the body that it needs to get away from something dangerous. So when we would encounter this tiger, we would move our body to get away from it. We're not moving our bodies anymore for stress necessarily. We're getting an email and it's triggering this fight or flight response in our body. Our body doesn't know that there's no actual tiger chasing us. It's just an email. So when you're stressed out, just get up and do like a quick little stretch, shake your body, maybe do some side to side, like just move something simple. Shake out your hands. You can just shake out your hands or kick your legs, something to get that stress moving through the body because that physical action actually helps ground that stress, bring the body back into stasis. Your body needs movement to process stress. Number four, somatic practices. And this ties in really well with moving the body. So, a somatic practice could be breath work. If you can breathe without moving the body, you can't. Something is moving when you're breathing. You can tap. Oh, I love tapping. Tapping feels so good. There's an EFT process of tapping where it's systematic and you tap specific pressure points on the body, or just I like just tapping whatever feels. If I'm feeling tight in the chest because maybe I'm stressed out about something, maybe my breathing has been really high up in my chest, I'm not fully breathing down into my belly, I first like to tap my fingers right around my collarbone because that's about where I feel like my anxious breath gets stuck. And then I'll slowly walk my fingers down my torso and I'll try to let my breath follow that tapping. So that tapping is helping cue my body like where I can breathe into, and it makes breathing a little bit feel a little more safe. It's an excellent technique. I highly recommend you try it and let me know what you think. Another practice is meditation. Meditation is an excellent way to slow down the nervous system, to bring some perspective. Meditation can be really hard to access if you're in a very heightened state, but meditation can be a way to slow down, focus on your breathing, focus on where your body is in space, and just have some presence and some perspective. So, burnout lives in your nervous system. Somatic practices like this can help reset your body stress response. Let's do a quick one together. This is one of my favorite breath patterns. It's the fourfold breath or the box pattern. It involves inhaling to a count of four, holding the breath to the count of four, exhaling to the count of four, and then holding for another count of 4. Now, that bottom count of 4, some people might feel a little stressed. And if that is too activating for you, if you feel like maybe you're drowning, just hold for 1, but otherwise choose your own adventure. This is your experience. If it's not supportive, don't do it. So together, let's take a deep breath to center and exhale. One more time, just a deep breath to set us up and exhale fully. Beautiful, beautiful. And now inhaling for 4, 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Taking a deep breath through your nose, letting it all out through the mouth, and taking a moment just to notice where you are now. Beautiful job. Number 5, setting boundaries. Burnout thrives when we say yes to everything. This is your permission slip to say no. Try this script. I'd love to help, but I don't have the capacity right now. Simple. No apologies. I love to say that burnout cannot coexist with healthy boundaries. Burnout is truly a boundaries problem. When you say yes to everything, when you say yes to everyone, you are prioritizing their needs and their wants above your needs. Now, we may lack boundaries because we have a safety issue. Maybe it wasn't safe when you were growing up to have boundaries. I know this was a problem for me. I was not allowed in my environment to have boundaries. I was not allowed to say no. Suffering and hard work, particularly combined, were exemplified, they were celebrated. I was not allowed to prioritize my own needs. And so when I went into the world as an adult, I said yes to everyone. I said yes to everything. I felt like I constantly needed to prove myself and be validated and negate my own boundaries. Having a lack of boundaries does not mean you're a bad person or that you're weak or defective in any way. It simply means that you didn't feel safe setting boundaries. So now it's time to start to fortify your personal levees, your boundaries, in order to help protect you from additional burnout so that you can heal, so that you can build up trust with yourself. Again, burnout doesn't mean that you're broken. It just means you've been carrying too much for too long. The good news is you get to put some of it down now. Just having awareness is 80% of healing from burnout. You'll start to notice things that maybe you were ignoring before. I'm so excited for the journey you're about to embark on. Just pick one step today Maybe that's just taking a commitment to taking a deep breath every day. Maybe it's texting a friend and saying, "Hey, I need support," when you're feeling depleted. Whatever it is, just start from where you are. If this episode helped, please share it with someone who might need it too. We're all in this together. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time.